You couldn't ask for a more beautiful weather night than we have tonight in downtown Cincinnati, and the crowd coming into Great American Ballpark. Round 2 between the Cardinals and the Reds. Cincinnati getting the big win here last night. They gained a game on the Cardinals in the National League Central Division, so 2.5 behind them. The Pirates won last night. They'll play again in Milwaukee later tonight. The Reds 3.5 behind Pittsburgh. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh, I'm Tom Brenneman. Yes, Bow Tie Tuesday, and tonight a special one as the Reds are teaming up with Alzheimer's Association to the fight against Alzheimer's disease. If you'd like to learn more, log on to alz.org. We'll talk about it throughout the night and the entire month of September. Don't look now, Chris, but all of a sudden, the Reds' bats have come alive here over the last 5 games.
Boy, it means a big difference, doesn't it? When you score a few runs, you take the pressure off the pitching staff, you take the pressure off the manager, for goodness sakes. Last 5 games, the Reds are scoring 7 runs a game. That's first in all of Major League Baseball. Team batting average way up there. Now, previously, granted, it's a very small sample size, but it's a big improvement on what you've done earlier in the year. And really the beautiful part of this offense is that they're getting it from different parts of the lineup. Not just the guys in the top of the lineup, but now the bottom of the lineup is really beginning to contribute.
All right, let's talk about the guys who do it on the mound. Homer Bailey had never won a game at Busch Stadium in his career until his last time out, and he was mighty good in helping shut out the Cardinals the last game of that series.
I think that'll go a long way to help Homer's demeanor every time he pitches against the Cardinals going forward. And it's a big thing. You've got to exercise the demon, so to say, and be able to go into the tough place to pitch, St. Louis, in that Busch Stadium, and do what he did last time out. 7+ innings of shutout baseball. He's got the stuff. We all know that. You just got to get his head right on the mound against the Cardinal ball club, and I think it'll be a lot easier tonight because of that. However, the Reds will face a very talented 22-year-old right-hander, 6 feet 6 inches tall, really good fastball, and an outstanding changeup. And he, against the Reds in relief on Wednesday, was outstanding with 7 strikeout innings in 4 shutout performance. So he's a guy, Michael Wacha and Homer Bailey, 2 young, very talented pitchers teaming it up tonight.
So this will be the second game of this 4-game series. Can the Reds get another win and get another game closer? We're talking about some guys in that lineup and what they're doing here lately. We'll look at a couple of them in particular when we come back. You're watching Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
My, oh my, what a glorious night it is, and our weather the rest of the night. Brought to you by Tri-State Orthopedic. Here's our old buddy Tim Hedrick.
And all I hear is, I hate the Cardinals. I hate the Cardinals. I think that's a little bit strong. I think we should appreciate their resolve. They've been excellent baseball players over the last couple of years during September and October. But boy, do I hate the Cardinals. Wow. I pretend their face is on the baseball. Heading home tonight, 66. Looks like a great night. Enjoy the game on, here comes Cardinal right here. Enjoy the game on Fox Sports Ohio. Woo! I hate the Cardinals.
It's our buddy Tim Hedrick. Good to have him back. How about this dynamic duo, part of that red-hot Reds offense right now?
Well, Tom, we were talking about the balance of the offense. Of course, Chu is back to where he was at the beginning of the year when he gets on base seemingly every other time he steps to the plate. But he's also hitting some home runs like he did last night, and 6 runs batted in during a 6-game hitting streak. The other guy is Zach Kozart, because he's doing it from the bottom of the order. It gives the Reds a lot better balance in their offense overall.
The Reds trying to keep it going. Trying to make it 3 wins in a row overall against this Cardinal club. Homer Bailey with the first pitch when we come back. In America 36 straight years by the Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good, it's Skyline time. We are set for baseball here at Great American Ballpark. Actually starting a little bit early. First pitch, ball 1, Homer Bailey to Matt Carpenter, and we are underway. Carpenter at .312, 10 home runs, 67 runs batted in, and you throw in 45 doubles. Having a very, very good year. Reds did a good job on Carpenter in the series opener. 1 of 4. He knocked in a run with a double, but only on base 1 time in those 4 plate appearances. Reds coming away behind Matt Lato's complete game 4 hitter in a 7-2 win. Breaking ball, strike 2 to get ahead.
Mike Matheny's trying to figure out a way to kickstart the offense, and it's not hit very well at all. In fact, they've hit about 195 over the last 4 or 5 ball games. And as Carpenter in the game but playing third base tonight, they've rested David Freese, who's really been struggling.
Jam shot foul ball, first base side. Homer Bailey looking to even his record on the year at 10-10, even with a very low ERA.
Well, Homer Bailey's been the tough luck guy all year long. He lost a career high 4 straight. He is now, however, on the verge of a career high 5 consecutive wins if he can nail this one down tonight.
Well, like the 2 starters yesterday, Latos and Wainwright, Bailey is making his 2nd consecutive start against the same opponent. And we gave you the numbers from his last start in that Reds 10-0 win last Wednesday night in St. Louis.
You know, you have starts back-to-back against the same team, and it's a lot less about scouting reports and scouting and video looking up, and it's a lot more about feel and actually getting out there and playing baseball. Because what more can you tell Homer Bailey about the Cardinals than what he learned last week? One thing you know about Matt Carpenter, when he puts the ball on the ground, sometimes he likes to pull it right down the line, and that's why Joey Votto's hugging that first base line.
Should be noted, Homer Bailey's career numbers against St. Louis are not pretty. An ERA over 5, career 4 wins against 12 losses. But it should be noted that he has pitched pretty well against them in this ballpark his last 6 starts. That one shot into left field, and that's a good at bat for Carpenter to begin the game. Let's take a look at the Cardinals starting lineup tonight. Carlos Beltran back in there. He's in right field. Matt Holliday in left. Alan Craig at first. Yadier Molina catching. John Jay down in the 6 hole in center. Colton Wong the nod at second base. Descalzo at short. And Waka, the rookie right-hander, on the mound. Beltran, a .310 batter, 23 home runs, 71 runs batted in. Been bothered over the weekend with a sore back. Was not in the lineup yesterday. We're talking about Bailey. His last 6 starts in this ballpark against this team. A 3-2 record and an ERA at 3.05. So he's thrown the ball well lately against the Cardinals. On Beltran, and it's low with a fastball. 2 balls, no strikes. Pirates and Milwaukee, we told you they'll be getting started in roughly an hour from now, and obviously once they get underway we will keep you up to speed on how that one's moving along. A lot of time. Bailey taking out there, okaying the sign with Hannigan. 3-0. And that is a 4-pitch walk to Carlos Beltran, and the first 2 Cardinals aboard to begin the night.
Real surprise right there. A 3-0 breaking ball to Carlos Beltran in the very first inning. Bailey having a hard time control that fastball. It's really not all that bad of a play if you think that that's the pitch that you can get over the plate. Right now Homer is overthrowing his fastball. Maybe he's got little nerves going on. Who knows? But I thought it was a kind of an unusual call anyway. Maybe they're just trying to break it up so that they can figure out a way to get something other than a fastball under your belt in there for a strike and take some of the pressure off your arm of trying to overthrow.
So now Matt Holliday at .287, 18 home runs, 74 runs batted in. He had 2 hits and knocked in a run in the series opener yesterday. Good location on that 94-mile-per-hour fastball. Not sure Holliday agreed with that call by the home plate umpire Corey Blazer.
Our Foxtrot calls it a strike. That's about as perfect a pitcher's pitch as you can throw at 94.
Holliday got off to a dreadful start the first 2 months of this season. Going back to the 3rd of June, his batting average is season low 244. Since then, he's only had 17 games where he did not have a hit, 27 games where he had 2 hits or more, and that batting average has climbed better than 40 points since then. 1-2 on Matt Holliday.
Well, Holliday's a good ground ball double play candidate, and Homer probably will live down in the zone here the rest of the count.
That's a one pitch they tried to go after Holliday time after time yesterday. Both of his base hits came on 2-strike pitches like that one, down and away, where he just came out over the plate and whacked him through the middle into center field.
Now, the crowd wanted it because Ryan Hannigan has been setting up outside well off the plate, and he didn't look like he had to move very much to get that pitch. See where he is right there, and if you're sitting down the right field line somewhere, you think, hey, that looks like a pretty good pitch. What you don't know is that Hannigan is really sitting in the left-handed batter's box. They have not come inside one time yet to Holliday. Trying to get on the same page as Hannigan here.
Now he okays a sign, and once more they're set up away from Holliday. That's every pitch in this at bat, and got him a chase, and that's strike 3. 1 out of the inning. That pitch wound up down and in rather than where they set up.
I'm not even sure what that pitch was. It was 91 miles an hour, and it may have been a splitter that he didn't really split his fingers too much on it. Maybe it was a slider now that I see it hits the plate. But he threw it very hard, and well, that's a pretty hard slider, and you're throwing it over 90 miles an hour.
That'll bring Alan Craig to the plate. He leads his Cardinal team with 97 runs batted in on only 13 home runs in a .317 batting. Of course, a book on Craig, he has been lethal, among the best, if not the best, pretty much the entire year when you put a runner in scoring position. Craig batting a whopping .453 with runners in scoring position on the year. Dandy of a breaking ball there. Strike 1.
Great get ahead pitch right there, because he has not seen Homer's best pitch, which is that fastball. And now you've got an 0-1 count.
Slow roller. Can they turn it? There's one, and that's a double play. So 2 on, nobody out, and Bailey wiggles off the hook in the opening inning. Reds are coming up when we return. starting lineup. Shin-Soo Choo, Brandon Phillips, Joey Votto at the top. Jay Bruce, Ryan Ludwig, Todd Frazier in the middle. And a latter third of the red-hot Zach Kozart, Ryan Hannigan, and Homer Bailey. Well, the Cardinals' starting rotation has been in such disarray in terms of production going back well over a month that they have injected Michael Wacha back into their starting rotation tonight to try to get things better.
Well, they probably didn't foresee this last year when they picked him in the first round, 19th pick overall out of Texas A&M. But when you get a polished college player, the idea is to get him through the system as quickly as possible, albeit maybe not as quickly as they thought. He's been awfully good, though, since his time has been up here in the major leagues. The Reds saw him during their last trip through St. Louis, where he pitched 4 shutout innings. Fastball at 93 and a great changeup. And I mean, that changeup is his second pitch. He really doesn't throw much in the way of anything else. No, I mean, he throws maybe 5% curveball, occasionally a little slider, but it's fastball, changeup, pretty much 1 and 2 for Wacha.
And that's who he's seen the first 2 pitches. Fastball, changeup, 1-1 the count on Shin-Soo Choo. Wacha making only his 5th major league start here tonight. And make no mistake about it, this is his biggest start of his major league career. Pitching in his 11th game overall. He was in their rotation back in the early part of the season. Has spent most of this year pitching and pitching very well for their AAA team in Memphis, Tennessee. Very close on a 2-2 pitch. Count is full on Choo. They remember he got things rolling yesterday with a lengthy at bat, had a base hit, wound up scoring.
Well, Michael Wacha has been compared to guys like Chris Carpenter and Adam Wainwright. Maybe not because of what he's done so far, but certainly the build. He's 6 feet 6 inches tall, lean right-hander, comes right over the top. And that seems to be the profile that the Cardinals like in that top of the rotation. Big tall guys who use a downward plane.
And Choo, another good at bat to lead off the game, and he's aboard drawing the walk. Take a look at the Cardinals on defense, presented by your Ford dealers. Jay flanked by Holiday and Beltran. Talked about Carpenter going from second over to third, and Wong the nod at second base.
Wong getting the start tonight. He was the Cardinals' first pick in the 2011 draft. So you can see how the youth is so important to this Cardinal team right now.
Ball 1 on Brandon Phillips. 17 home runs, still sitting on 99 runs batted in. Brandon, since going into that 2 spot in the batting order a little over a week ago, has been getting on base 50% of his plate appearances. 2 balls and no strikes. There are a lot of similar numbers to those numbers for a lot of players up and down this Reds lineup here about over the last week to 10 days. They've got a lot of guys right now swinging the bat quite well. Hard hit ball, but right at the shortstop. Tough luck double play there for Phillips.
Well, you couldn't hit it much harder than that. I mean, that ball is down and in, and everybody who's watched Brandon Phillips play knows that he drops that bat head on that spot about as well as anybody around. Unfortunately, right at the shortstop.
So base is empty for Joey Votto, and he looks at a strike. 306 batting average, 21 home runs, 64 runs batted in.
What a pleasant night for baseball. Yesterday afternoon, a little bit steamy. There were a lot of people fanning themselves at programs and whatnot, but that humidity has gone away, and the entire week now Must be a great week for baseball.
In fact, I would imagine there are a lot of folks tonight that brought a jacket or a sweater along.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to get chilly with no humidity, and the highs were in the 70s during the daytime. And a bouncer into center field. That'll be a base hit for Votto. So that tough luck double play for Brandon Phillips after hitting the ball right on the nose. It's followed by a base hit from Votto.
What a good hit by Votto and a nice swing. I mean, here's a guy that has certainly been struggling. He struggled a lot on the last road trip. But yesterday in his last hit, a fourth inning home run opposite field. That's a good sign. And he drops a bat hit and hits a line drive here in his first at bat.
And now Jay Bruce, 26 home runs, 88 runs batted in. 3 batters faced by walk, and 2 of them have reached. Cuba, Chris.
You know what you have to hope for, Tom, is that, you know, when a team gets into a slump, it's contagious. A couple of guys go bad, and then everybody begins to go bad. Also works the other way around. You get hot, all of a sudden other guys begin to pick it up a little bit. We showed you at the very beginning of the broadcast in the open about how hot Chu has been, how hot Cozart has been. Joey Votto's hit the ball hard the last couple of nights. Frazier's come around and hit the ball a whole lot better. Short sample size, but still Ryan Ludwig with a couple of shots to right center field yesterday.
Pitcher's pitch right there on a 1-1 count. Fastball 92 at the knees on the inside corner to get ahead. Bruce has been the one guy who has just worn out Cardinal pitching this season. Look at those numbers. Beat on a fastball up, and the inning is over. A hit, a man left. End of 1, no score. As we hit the stretch run, Tommy Tuberville talks about the Bearcat season opening win. And why does LeBron James have a locker at Ohio State? Get complete coverage of all today's action involving Ohio sports at foxsportsohio.com. So here we go in the Cardinals' second inning of a scoreless game. Homer Bailey to face Yadier Molina. Breaking ball in there, a strike. Molina 2 at bats yesterday without a hit, left the game with a sore wrist.
And evidently, Tom, what we read now is that sore wrist has been something that has been bothering Yadier Molina pretty much the entire season. You never know by looking at his stats.
Took the words right out of my mouth. .327 batted, 10 home runs, 61 runs batted in, closing in on 40 doubles. And of course his Gold Glove defense behind the plate virtually each and every day, although he did have a stint on the DL. Wow. Thankfully Homer's okay. Chris, you've had this feeling before.
Well, you just hope you get your glove up there. I mean, that ball had a trajectory that was going right at Homer Bailey's head. You know, it's funny, you throw a pitch, and a lot of times, and that may have been the type of pitch that Homer Bailey, you won't know till you have to ask him after the ball game. You throw it, and as soon as it leaves your hand, you think to yourself, that's got a chance of coming back at me. And it kind of puts you on alert. And you know that Yadier Molina likes to hit the ball up the middle, and there it's coming back at him. I mean, hit so hard, it's almost knuckling.
Fastball at 94, strike to left-handed batting center fielder John Jay. 1 ball and 1 strike.
You know, and you might say that Homer Bailey's delivery now is so much better, and he follows through with his heads up towards home plate. And if a ball like that is hit at him, say 4 or 5 years ago, when he was more falling off towards first, you don't have the ability to protect yourself. Normally when pitchers get hit in the head, it's these guys that fall off the mound, they're turning, and all they can do to protect themselves is try to turn their head sideways. And of course, that's when you expose the whole side of your head and ear to being struck by the baseball.
Bailey ahead of Jay at 1 ball and 2 strikes. 1 out, nobody on, no score in the game, and that's low to even a count.
Well, we've demonstrated it throughout the season, but Homer has made his delivery more compact, quicker. He's actually taken a second and a half off the time of his full windup delivery. And then when you do that, you make things more compact. You use your timing better. You thrust off the mound with your back leg a little bit better. And you tend to stay more in control of your body. A lot of young pitchers come up to the major leagues, or when they get signed out of amateur baseball, you know, long, lanky, take a lot of time to get through their balance point. A lot of innings later, they'll get it all together and be a little quicker.
And Jay hit with a fastball and a 3-2 pitch, and he's a 1-out base runner. Neither one of these teams build much around the running game. Jay has 5 steals in 6 attempts, and now we get a look at the rookie Colton Wong.
Now his game is the running game. Wong's is. He has stolen 41 bases in the last 2 seasons in the minor leagues. In fact, he'd not been thrown out all of this season except 1 time. Well, you wonder if you're a Cards fan, I mean, where are they going to play this kid? Got a pretty good second baseman there right now, and Matt Carpenter.
Well, you almost wonder if they're you know, postseason hero of 2011. This is 2 somewhat less than average seasons now for David Freese, along with all the injuries. And you wonder, would a permanent move be back in order perhaps if Wong can prove he belongs as an everyday player in the big leagues. 1-2.
right now, it doesn't seem that Ryan Hannigan and Homer Bailey are really clicking together. Homer's calling off a lot of pitches that Hannigan suggested down there, and finally Long will call timeout because he's tired of waiting.
Frazier, Phillips, safe as Wong got up the line quickly to beat the relay throw from Brandon.
Not hit really all that hard. It bounces right in front of home plate. But a nice job done by the Reds defense. I mean, they turn it about as well as you can turn it, but Wong is just too quick down the line.
So now at shortstop, Daniel Descalso at 240. 5 home runs, 34 runs batted in. In the air and playable for Frazier. 1 man left. Ludwig, Frazier, Cozart coming up in a scoreless game. Brought to you by Miller Lite, and we remind you that if they read it's a home run off the Toyota side during our game tonight. Lindsey Dillenberger of Cleves, Ohio, out west, will win the beautiful new Tundra on display here at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win that at an upcoming game. You better do it soon, so stop by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. What a beautiful, beautiful night. I mean, it can't get more perfect than we have here tonight. Reds and the Cardinals, second game of this 4-game series.
I bet you woke up this morning and you thought you had awakened in San Diego.
It was a little chilly early this morning. I mean, I thought I was waking up on like a, college football Saturday today. It was nice.
Only to find the lawnmower out in the driveway waiting for you.
That'll be tomorrow. Couldn't get around today. Fly ball to right field off the bat of Ludwig and caught by Carlos Beltran. 1 out to begin the second inning. Tonight's Ohio Lottery Mega Millions. You won't have to cut your grass anymore if you win that. $85 million. Drawing is tonight at 11 o'clock. Unless you really like doing it. And a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I don't mind doing it. You?
I used to love to do it. Not so much anymore.
It's a veteran move. Fly ball right field. And quickly. 3 pitches, 2 outs. Ludwig and Frazier.
I mean, it's really amazing when you consider that Michael Wacha last year pitching for Texas A&M is pitching against the likes of Kansas and Baylor, and you know, he's from Texarkana, Texas, and played on a good college team, no doubt about it. I mean, but there's got to be a huge difference. I mean, up and down the lineup that you have to make a mental adjustment for to pitch against a college lineup, where he ended up 9-1 last year with an earned run average right around 2 at 16 starts. And here you are pitching in a pennant race.
But Cozart red hot right now. That one blistering into center field, a base hit. Hey, all I want to know about Michael Wacha is forget all that stuff pitching about Kansas and Baylor and all that business. I want to know if he was hanging out with Johnny Manziel on the weekend.
He might give some game advice to Johnny Manziel.
Two outs, 1 on, and here's Ryan Hannigan. Because, you know, if you're hanging with Manziel as a college student, I don't really follow Manziel a lot, but it seemed like every time, you know, during the winter, he's courtside at a Dallas Mavericks game. You know, he can go into a Cowboys game. Autograph appearance somewhere.
I mean, would that be like the version of, say, hanging with Tim Tebow back in the day in Gainesville, Florida?
I have a feeling it's a dramatically different scene hanging out with Manziel than Tebow. That's a straight guess, but probably an educated guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
And 2 on Ryan Hannigan.
Nearly picked off his first baseman on that one. You know, neither of these teams, as you said, really rely much on the running game at all, and even less with Yadier Molina behind the plate.
And that's all for Hannigan and all for the Reds in inning number 2. We go to the 3rd. Still no score. Injuries for 1-800-ELK Ohio. How about this? Aroldis Chapman, 53 1/3 innings, 33 saves, has not pitched since August the 24th. Now, it should be noted The average number of innings pitched by the top 10 saves leaders of all the Major League Baseball is only 2 innings more on average than Aroldis Chapman. Joe Luckham, our statistician supreme, tells us, Chris, 405 different pitchers have pitched in the major leagues, including an outfielder, Sam Fuld, since Aroldis Chapman last pitched in a game.
Well, you like it when Aroldis Chapman pitches, because when he pitches, the Reds are ahead in the 9th inning. And with the abysmal road trip that they had, where they only won 1 game in each of the 2 cities that they went to, there wasn't much need for them. The one win the Reds had, of course, in St. Louis, a blowout win, 10-0, and a big win that they had when they did win the ball game in Colorado.
Dusty Baker talks about it all the time, and you know, more times than not, he's right on this topic, as that one is fouled off by a walk of 1 ball and 2 strikes, and that you'll go extended periods of time like they are right now where you don't need him to close the game, and then all of a sudden you'll play 10, 11, 12 days and you need him 8, 9, 10 times.
Now, it's not like he hasn't been playing catch, working off the bullpen, but it's not quite the same as being in a game.
The Reds on defense tonight, presented by your Ford dealers. Same group we saw last night in the field, except for the battery. Ryan Hannigan replacing Devin Mesoraco behind the plate. Carpenter singled leading off the game. The Cardinals had the first 2 batters on to start the first inning. Carpenter on a single, Beltran on a 4-pitch walk. But then Bailey came back to fan Matt Holliday and induce a ground ball double play off the bat of Alan Craig. He has certainly found the feel of that breaking ball here over the last couple of innings. That guy's a hitter.
Well, you're right about that. He, in a lot of ways, he reminds me of Shin-Soo Choo, because he keeps it so simple at the plate. Had a long at bat his first time up, got a fastball, drove it the other way. Here he goes on an 0-2 count after 2 slow curveballs at 81 miles an hour. There's a mid-90s fastball, and it's like he's waiting for it just to be able to punch it the other way for a base hit.
You know, Chris, I asked the question last week in St. Louis. When's the last time you saw a leadoff man have 50 or more doubles in a season while driving in 70 or more runs in the same season? In the last 40 years of baseball, it has only been done 3 times, and Carpenter's knocking on the door in both categories. Sizemore with Cleveland in 06, Brian Roberts with Baltimore in 09, and Craig Biggio of the Houston Astros in 1998. They are the only 3 leadoff hitters in the last 40 years with 50 or more doubles, 70 or more runs batted in, hitting in the leadoff spot. And Carpenter will more than likely eclipse both of those numbers.
Well, that means the bottom of the order is getting on a lot of times. I mean, because you don't knock runs in unless you have opportunity. Remember the days when Tony La Russa used to bat the pitcher 8th and a position player 9th,
sure,
just so that he could have one more guy who would get on base a lot come up when Mark McGwire would come around.
And then later Albert Pujols would come around. And another reason he did that too, if you remember, La Russa was, I'm not going to say he's the first guy, but he was certainly the guy that talked a lot about it. He really loved having a banger in the number 2 hole if you could find the right kind of player, and they would seemingly go out and get that kind of player to bat in that spot in their batting order. Into center field, and that'll be caught by Chu. You know, they had Larry Walker batting in the 2 hole after they acquired him. You may remember from Colorado. They had Rick Ankiel when he was swinging a good bat. He'd hit you 20 home runs, 18 to 20 home runs or more. Beltran fits that bill in this line.
You're right, he does. I was about to say that. And, you know, the conventional logic is you put your speedster on base guy in the first hole. You put somebody who can bunt him over or hit and run him in the second hole. But there's so many fewer bunts now. There are far fewer hit and runs than ever before. And maybe putting a banger there is a pretty good idea.
Matt Holliday now the batter. He struck out his first time up and waves at that pitch down and away.
Yeah, that's what he struck out on his last time out. Actually, that's a splitter there, but he struck out on a slider down and in. I guess Homer's got him thinking about that fastball so much. And he's just up there getting ready to hack.
Runner goes, got a great jump, and Hannigan no chance. Carpenter only his 3rd steal of the year.
Sneak attack. That's what you call it when a guy who does not steal a lot of bases ends up with a jump like that, because they figure he's not going. And he just doesn't even prepare himself for the possibility of going back to first base right there. Stolen entirely on Homer. 11th given up by Homer. Catchers have thrown out 3 when he's been on the mound. 11 stolen bases in one season is no big deal.
One ball, 2 strikes on Holliday. Carpenter at second, 2 outs in the inning. Holliday does not chase it this time, and the count even at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Scoreless game, top of the 3rd. Carpenter in scoring position. Holliday has 74 runs batted in. And now the pitch. Struck him out for a second time. Carpenter left in scoring position. After 2.5, the Reds and the Cardinals are scoreless. weekend here at the ballpark. Friday night, you can stick around after the game. Special appearances by the Great Eight in a post-game fireworks show featuring a 70s soundtrack, thanks to Corson Fire and Security. For tickets the entire weekend, the Reds and the Dodgers. It's 513-381-REDS, the number to dial, or log on to reds.com/tickets. Pitcher against pitcher, scoreless game. We open the bottom of the third. Bailey looks at a strike.
Well, how about Homer Bailey with no batting gloves? I think he normally doesn't wear batting gloves, but Matt Carpenter already a couple of base hits off of Bailey. Bailey says maybe it's in the no glove. I'm going to give it a try myself. A rare curveball. Pretty good looking pitch. You may want to break that out a little more often.
You know, I was getting ready to ask you, Chris. I mean, if you're a guy who doesn't throw it a lot, I mean, why not throw it when the opposing pitcher is up there leading off an inning?
You kind of use it as practice that way, in-game practice.
Wong, a pretty nice play right there. Wow. Took away a hit. Well, he covered a lot of ground.
You don't become a #1 draft pick if you don't have the tools to make this play. You may not always make it, but you've got the foot speed, the quickness, the agility to make the throw. All those are the components physically that you have if you're going in the first round of the Major League draft.
Now Shin-Soo Choo, he walked leading off the game, and this one is driven into deep right center field. Jay at the track, at the wall, he got it. Back-to-back outstanding defensive plays by the Cardinal defense to begin this third inning. Wong and now Jay.
Well, he went down to get this curveball right there and stayed right on it. Look how he's just watching that ball straight down the bat line. That's one of those pitches, a slow curveball in the mid-70s where you have to really provide your own power. And when you hit it to a deep part of the ballpark, much less chance of hitting a home run there than hooking it down the line.
Brandon hit a rocket one-hopper right at the shortstop Descalzo that started a double play in the first inning. Spinning up that breaking ball a little more frequently here in this third inning. That one fouled away by Brandon Phillips. Wong to the glove side this time, and it's a 1-2-3 third for Michael Wacha. No score at the end of 3. final time this year, and you can take advantage for the final time of the Reds 4 for $48 offer presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. You get 4 view level tickets for only $48, and you receive 4 vouchers. Each one of them good for a free B-Dub sampler platter. Nachos, onion rings, mozzarella sticks, boneless wings. A blazing hot deal indeed. Visit select Kroger locations, call 381-REDS or visit reds.com/tickets. And come on down to the ballpark. It'll be Monday, Tuesday nights, Wednesday afternoon with the Cubbies in town. Then the Reds will embark on their final road trip of the year. Hard to believe. Broken bat, one hopper. Nice play by Cozart to throw out Craig starting the 4th inning.
Well, looks like defense is going to be the name of the game tonight. We've already seen some dandy glove work. Cozart gets a chance right here as he goes way behind second base. Does the 360 and throws out his man.
Right, get that off the end of the bat. You saw pieces of the bat go flying along the infield. Bailey could use a quick inning. He has not retired the side in order. Now, granted, all 3 innings he has faced 4 batters total, but he has thrown nearly 15 more pitches than his counterpart Walker through the front 3.
He is already throwing the ball very hard tonight. I mean, normally we don't see Homer Bailey reach 96 until he gets to the 6th or 7th inning. I mean, his timing is just perfect in his delivery right now. Homer's really begun to drop something new on the Cardinals. Here's how many curveballs he has thrown against the Cardinals this year, and you see how it's increased throughout the season. It's almost like you have to add an extra wrinkle when you see a team so many times. First time he sees them in April, he only threw 2. Then in May, he threw 7. Last time out, he threw 34. That was in that 7+ inning of shutout baseball. And tonight, he's already thrown 16. It could be that he just got a better feel for that pitch right now. It could be that he had good success last time with it, and why not use it again tonight?
Got Molina swinging off speed. 2 out.
That may have been a little bit more of a slider right there because it was 85 miles an hour, but either way, it was an off-speed pitch. Now that's a splitter. That's a great look from our Expo cam behind out in center field. You just cram that ball between your middle finger and your index finger and throw it like a fastball.
John Jay hit by a pitch, a fastball, and a 3-2 count. His first time up. 2 down, nobody on. We're in the 4th. Starts him with a breaking ball, a strike.
Here's another look at this split finger release right here. Look how he's got the ball really just squashed right between there and pulling down with his index finger. That's the key right there, as he pronates his arm as you let it go. And it just has kind of a funky little spin to it, and the ball just drops off the table.
Boy, has he got that breaking ball working tonight.
I think he's got everything working tonight.
Got to get him some offense. The way he's throwing the ball here tonight. Bailey got ahead of John Jay, 0-2. Now it's 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, nobody on. In the air, Deep left center field, but it'll stay in the yard at the track, and the inning is over. 1-2-3 for the first time tonight for Bailey. Nothing across after 3.5. See your Toyota dealer. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by JTM Food Group, creating great dishes together. Beautiful night along Fountain Square in downtown Cincinnati. Folks hanging out as they are here at Great American Ballpark. Our AT&T trivia question tonight: who are the 5 catchers to win 4 or more Gold Glove awards in the National League? Well, 2 of them are layups.
Yeah.
Joey Votto, first pitch swinging, fly ball left center field. A lot of first pitch outs by Reds batters tonight.
And another first pitch breaking ball, long fly out to the deep part of the ballpark.
Well, let's see here now. We know Johnny Bench is 1. We know Yadier Molina is 2. That's why I say 2 of them considered layups.
I'd say Pudge Rodriguez has to be in that mix.
Well, would that be in the National League?
Okay, National League only. Okay.
I'm not saying you're wrong on that. I mean, he's been a number of years.
I don't think he was enough over here. I would say Benito Santiago, maybe.
Ooh, that's a good guess. How about Gary Carter?
Really good guess.
Okay. Santiago, I think, is a good guess.
How about Tony Pena? But he spent a lot too much time in New York.
Let's see how many years he spent. That's, you know what? That's not a bad guess either. There's a pop up into center field. 4 pitches, 2 outs here in the 4th inning for Michael Wacha. Well, Bailey Berry has enough time to get back in that dugout, and he looks up, and there's 2 outs in the inning.
You know, that's not always a bad thing. When your pitcher hooked up in a pitching duel, and you're throwing the ball as well as Homer Bailey is tonight, it's almost like you don't want to break. You want your team to score, but you want them to score quick, so you can keep that momentum going. Fastball away. 2-1 on Ryan Ludwig.
Ludwig came off the DL, did not have a hit his first 11 times up, and has since been a .333 batter. Glide out to right field his first time up tonight, and paints the inside corner, and he disagrees with Corey Blazer, shaking his head nope.
I think Ryan's got a reason for disagreement right there. Of course, we have an electronic look at it. We can look at it slow-mo again. He's looking at that ball coming in there game speed.
I thought of one other guy. I'm wondering if the Cardinal manager Mike Matheny won 4 Gold Gloves.
Yeah, that's a really good guess. I know he won a couple. I don't know if he won.
I thought he won a few. And 2 on Ryan Ludwig. Jam shot, fly ball, short left, and that will end the inning. 3 fly ball outs through the heart of the order. We go to the 5th. Still no score.
First look at the lineups, features, reaction from the players, so much more. It's Reds Live. It's presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Jim Day with you. Scoreless game here at Great American Ballpark. Let's give you an update on the pitching front for Cincinnati. In the game notes, it's listed as a TBA for a starter on Thursday against the Cardinals, but we can now tell you that Tony Cingrani, barring anything unforeseen, will make that start. He'll come off the DL. He's eligible to come off on Thursday, although Dusty Baker did say that Greg Reynolds, whose day also is to pitch on Thursday, will piggyback him, if you will. So the Reds will be double barreled in case anything happens to Tony Cingrani. Quick update on Johnny Cueto as well. Big day for him. The first time he threw off the mound today, threw 30 pitches in the bullpen, and they said that it was very, very impressive. And the biggest news coming out of that, apparently he's modified his pitching motion, not giving the full turn or the full Louis Tiant, if you will. So he'll pitch another bullpen on Thursday, also on Saturday, along with Sean Marshall. If they come through unscathed, then those two will indeed either pitch games, simulated games, or they might send him out to Arizona for the instructional league to get some innings in. So good news all around for Cincinnati, guys.
Well, you're not lying, Jim. Thank you very much. Jeff Pecoro, thank you as well. We were talking about that before the game. As Colton Wong is out on strikes to open up the Cardinal 5th inning in this scoreless game. 4 of those in the game now for Homer Bailey.
Bailey's got that splitter really working. I mean, it comes in at 86, gives you the same action with the arm as does the fastball, and simply drops off the table.
Now Descalzo, who popped up to Todd Frazier's only time up.
You know, that splitter can be kind of a fickle pitch. You can throw it on a certain night and just not have control over it, and every good one you throw comes down, and it never really does look like a strike. All it does is hit the plate. Other nights you throw it and you hang it up in the zone, and a guy hits a 3-run homer. Tonight Bailey just has the feel and that release point for it. That's why the Cardinals are thinking right now, hey, we had the first 2 guys on base with a base hit and a base on balls, and sometimes that's the only breathing spot you have. If you let the opposing pitcher with homer stuff begin to get settled in. That's a curveball that he's throwing. We were talking about, a lot of people like to call that a knuckle curve. It's actually a spiked curveball where you just take your index finger and you kind of dig it into the seam, but you still use your middle finger as your pressure finger.
Foul tipped into the mitt of Hannigan, and it's back-to-back strikeouts for Bailey here in the 5th.
Hey, well, he's just getting better and better. You know, when you start dominating like this, you get the feel that nothing's going to stop you.
Waka grounded out to Cozart, his only time up tonight. 7 in a row retired by Bailey. 10 of the last 11. And 12 of the last 14 he's faced after those first 2 reached base to start the game. Bailey a strike away from fanning the side here in the St. Louis 5th inning. Reds have Frazier, Cozart, Hannigan coming up in the bottom of the 5th inning. And Bailey trying to finish off Waka. And does. He fans aside in the 5th. 8 straight retired by Bailey, and 5 of those on strikeouts. Jim Day, Jeff Pecoro, Chris Welsh and company will break it all down. We call it Reds Live, brought to you by Kings Honda in the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. All right, Chris, here we go. The 5 guys. We guessed Bench, Molina, Carter, Matheny, Santiago. Bench, Molina, Matheny we get right. Charles Johnson, that's when the Miami Marlins, then the Florida Marlins.
Oh, he was good.
Sure was. And Del Crandall.
Go back to the days of Harvey Haddix.
Yeah, it's back to Milwaukee Braves.
Those are back in the days when Harvey Haddix would win the Gold Glove and Del Crandall would win the Gold Glove behind the plate.
Crandall won 4 of them, 58, 59, 60. And then again a year later in 1962 with those Milwaukee Braves. Good question. Bench, of course, 10 of them. Oh. All right, here we go. No score in the game. Frazier behind quickly, 1-2 to Michael Wacha. Wacha has only needed fewer than 50 pitches to get through the front 4 innings. 2-2 on Todd Frazier. In the air, left field. Down the line towards the corner. Holiday able to track it for out number 1.
Reds are hitting some long fly balls, but they're really not centering the balls. That ball got in a little bit on Todd Frazier, it looked like, and that's what kept it from going out, even though it went right down the line. Maybe end of the bat, actually.
The last Red to reach base was this man, Zach Cozart. He had a single in the center field with 2 outs in the 2nd inning. 8 in a row retired by Wacha. The last 4 on fly ball outs. An excuse me swing, and the ball made contact with a bat. 1-2 to Zach. Go back to the middle of August, and Zach Cozart, a .360 batter, and leads a team during that time frame with 14 runs batted in. How about that? And that's getting that batting average from the very, very low 200s to now up over 250. 253 to be precise. Bottom fell out of that pitch. It's only the 3rd strikeout of the game for Wacha.
Now you compare these 2 fastball pitchers, and they both have pretty good heaters. These are 4-seam fastballs you're going to see right here. The thing to look at, though, is Wacha gets a much earlier pronation. He pulls his head off the ball just a hair. If you see where his head location is compared to where Homer Bailey's is, Homer gets a little more extension overall. And you can see they're really pronated right here with Wacha turning that elbow up.
Under the glove of a diving Daniel Descalzo. That'll trickle into center field. That'll be a base hit for Ryan Hannigan.
But to finish the thought on these pitchers, they both have very good deliveries. Solid, rock solid mechanics. Homer Bailey's come a long way since being drafted out of high school. And of course, we mentioned it already that Michael Wacha came out of college. So he's already 21 years old when he signs his first pro contract. In fact, it was last year that he toiled on the mound for Texas A&M. And he'll face a fellow Texan here in Homer Bailey.
0-2 on Bailey, 1 on, 2 out. We're in the 5th. And that one gets away from Molina. And advancing on into scoring position is Ryan Hannigan. He becomes the first Red to reach second base in the game tonight against Wacha.
Now there's the changeup, and it's not really a circle change. It's more of a modified circle change. Ball hits way out in front of home plate, and Molina does about everything he can do. It just kind of bounces away from him. Well, they know that they're locked up into a ball game right here where Homer Bailey's not going to give them much at all. And 1 run might be the difference. And with the pitcher at the plate, you could not have a better scenario now for the Cardinals. See if Homer can put a good swing on here.
And I have a feeling, Chris, you make a great point. That's why Molina walked out there and said, now, look, we can, I'm not sure he would say, we're not going to make a mistake here. But, I mean, this is where when you make that one mistake, even a pitcher can knock in what could turn out to be the game's only run.
Well, the outfield playing very shallow.
On the ground is short. That doesn't matter. And that's all for the Reds. A hit a man left. We go to the 6th. Bailey v. Wacha in a good one tonight in Cincinnati. Student. You can cheer on the Reds, enjoy up to 4 tickets at half price in select sections for Sunday through Thursday home games. So look, you can come on down the next couple of nights or next week against the Cubbies and get that great discount, half price in certain areas. 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/student. It's plural. Up on the scoreboard here at Great American Ballpark, they do what is called the jump cam. And they take little shots of kids around the ballpark. Boy, it's some darling stuff out there. Well, Homer Bailey, the man so far tonight. Of course, the Cardinals say the same thing about Michael Wacha. Cardinals coming up here in the 6th inning, where it's a top of the order. No runs, 2 hits, 3 left for the Cardinals. No runs, 3 hits, 3 left for the Reds. Bailey has fanned 6, walked 1. Wacha has struck out 3 and walked the first batter of the night, and that's been all. Carpenter has both Cardinal hits in a game. A single to left center and a single to left field. He also stole a base. Bailey coming off a top of the 5th where he struck out the side. And the second time through the Cardinal batting order, Bailey struck out 5 of the 9 batters he faced.
different hitter has something to kind of keep them in motion, a little bit of a to kind of give yourself a little bit of a either rocking action, swinging the bat action. Watch the way that Matt Carpenter kind of moves back and forth, seemingly almost until the pitch is on its way. Somehow he gets ready. Very difficult to hit from just a dead solid stop. Got to have a little rhythm going back and forth. A lot of guys will sway back and forth. He's always moving. Feet are staying the same, but his body's got some kind of little movement in it, just trying to find a timing trigger that's going to help him, time that fastball or stay back far enough to be able to catch a breaking ball.
That's a lengthy chat right there. Brian Hannigan, he did most of the talking at the start. Then Homer Bailey chimed in with a few thoughts, and Hannigan finished it off. But clearly, every pitch, as we're moving deeper into this game, neither team with a run becomes of maximum importance, and that'll be a pitch that retires Carpenter for the first time tonight. 9 in a row retired by Homer Bailey. "17 of the last 19 batters Bailey has retired, the only 2 to reach. He hit John Jay with a 3-2 fastball, second batter in the second inning, and Carpenter had that single in the third. Pirates got a run in the top of the first inning. Milwaukee scores twice in the bottom of the inning. So the Brewers in front by a run as the Pirates come to bat in the second inning in Wisconsin. Big pitch right here, and Bailey gathering himself, taking a little extra time. He's fallen behind the always dangerous Beltran. 2 balls and no strikes.
Well, that's a slider, a 90-mile-an-hour slider tonight. I mean, you've got to really appreciate that Homer Bailey, not only does he have great stuff, he's amped up tonight. And you wonder how much of it might be due to the fact that he saw Matt Latos go out and dominate the way he did yesterday, saying, you know what, I am not going to be left behind. I want people to talk about Homer Bailey in the same breath they talk about Matt Latos.
Well, it's a 2-0 slider and then a 3-1 slider, and the same result both times. Swing and a miss.
I mean, he's throwing that pitch so hard, you can almost categorize it as a cutter.
Would you call it a cutter more than a slider?
I think he calls it a slider. But when you start throwing your breaking pitch over 90 miles an hour, you're redefining it. And nowadays, people are trying to categorize everything somebody throws so that they can say at the end of the night, he throws this percentage fastball, this percentage changeup, so on and so forth. So everything has a slop that goes into it. When you throw something in between like Homer right here, you say, hey, it's coming in there hard and it's breaking.
Straight away center field. little off the end of the bat, it looked like, and it still carries to the track. 2 out.
Now here is today's whiff, brought to you by Head & Shoulders. Now with a hit of Old Spice. It was Matt Holliday has been up 2 times against Homer Bailey. He's been a strikeout victim each time up. Going down on the slider the first time up. In the second at bat, there's the slider that put him away. That's at 91 miles an hour. Then in the second at bat, he saw a lot of curveballs, including a curveball that he swung and missed on for strike 3. There it is, our whiff of the day, brought to you by Head & Shoulders with a hint of Old Spice.
Holliday, a pair of strikeouts, swinging in a game. And they have been big strikeouts for Bailey when you look back on where we were in the game. Obviously no score. But Holliday came up there with 2 on and nobody out in the first inning. Bailey struck him out. And then Holliday came to the plate with Carpenter in scoring position in the third and struck him out to end that inning. And now ahead 0-2 with 2 outs and none on in the 6th. Two becomes 2 balls, 2 strikes on Holliday. And Bailey turns and delivers. Third time he's fanned Holliday tonight.
Now let's go to Los Angeles for a Fox Sports 1 game break.
All right, Donnie, thank you very much. Top of the order for the Reds, as the Cardinals have the top of their order go down 1-2-3 in the top of the inning. Let's see if the Reds can scratch one across. Scoreless game. Bailey against Michael Wacha in game 2 of this 4-game series. And it's low to Chu, who has walked and drove a ball to the wall in deep right center field that was run down by Jay. Reds beginning the night 3.5 behind the front running Pirates, 2.5 behind these Cardinals. Chu is one of the only batters that has made Wacha work a little bit tonight. Drew the walk against him in the first inning. Put himself in a good hitter's count his last time up before that drive that was run down by Jay. And now a 3-1 count on Chu. And he walks to begin the bottom of the 6th inning. IGS Energy bringing the energy. Most times reaching base 3 or more times in a game this year. Paul Goldschmidt 3 more than Votto and Chu. Chu has a chance to add to that number if he gets on base 1 more time tonight.
You know, really for the Arizona Diamondbacks, they probably wish they had the 2-headed on base percentage guys for Goldschmidt to come up and drive in.
Oh, you're not lying.
And of course, most of the season it has been the guy in the batter's box right now, Brandon Phillips, the beneficiary of RBI opportunities. Reds offense began to stagnate a little bit. Dusty Baker made the change, along with Ryan Ludwig getting a little bit better at the plate, getting his timing down, his strength slowly coming back. So they moved Phillips in the number 2 spot, and they've scored a lot of runs over the last 5 ball games.
0-1 on Brandon, and that one down the right field line. They had him played that way. Can you believe that? You hit a ball there and the right fielder is almost hugging the line. It's good scouting. 1 out.
Well, years ago the Atlanta Braves are the only team that would do it like that. And now, of course, with scouting done a lot by computers and hit charts so exacting, it's not a surprise at all to know how to play somebody. In fact, you really ought to be more surprised when you see a ball in the gap when a guy's playing down the line. You say, well, what are you doing hitting over there? You never hit it over there.
They play Votto to pull in the infield, at least at short and at second base, and they plan to hit it the other way in the outfield. No score. We are in the bottom of the 6th inning.
But they play him deep. I think what you're playing right now is still midway through the ball game, but they really do not want to allow a ball behind the outfielders here that would automatically score Chu from first base, unless it leaves the yard. And in this ballpark, when you play deep, anything over your head's out of here.
Votto is single to center and flied out to center. Chu a good lead, held on over there at first. And a fastball. Ooh, that off the outside corner, according to Corey Blazer. 1-1 to Votto. Try to go out there again with another fastball and miss. 2-1. Well, do you think here about starting a runner on a 2-1 count with Votto at the plate?
Yeah, I absolutely do.
Not going is Chu, and it's fouled away. 2-2 to Joey Votto. They'll get the force out at second, 2 out in the inning. Well, this week UFC Wednesday premieres on Fox Sports 1. The prelim fights leading up to the main event on UFC Fight Night. Third-ranked light heavyweight Robert Teixeira takes on Ryan Bader. Then the season premiere of The Ultimate Fighter, featuring rival coaches Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate. UFC Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, UFC Fight Night pre-fight show. And that's this week on Fox Sports 1. One on, 2 out. Ball 1 to Jay Bruce. He is struck out and fly to center. Bruce sort of kicking himself there after getting a 1-0 fastball right in his wheelhouse, and he fouls it off to the third base side. 1-1 to Jay Bruce. And this will end the inning. Started with a walk and a runner left on base. We go to the 7th. A pitcher's duel tonight. Homer Bailey climbs the mound here in the 7th inning. No score in a game. No runs, 3 hits for the Reds. They've left 4. No runs, 2 hits for the Cardinals. They've left 3. 4, 5, and 6 in the batting order. Craig, Molina, and Jay. Both Cardinal hits belong to leadoff man Matt Carpenter. Bailey is retired the last 11. 0-1 to Craig. Homer has struck out 7, walked 1. He's hit a batter. His only walk came all the way back in the 1st inning, a 4-pitch walk to the 2nd batter of the night. Craig stepping out, just trying to perhaps disrupt this rhythm that Bailey is in right now. Rocks back in the 0-1. Breaking ball, strike 2 called.
And oh man. I mean, Homer Bailey's in such a zone right now that it's like, where do you want it and how hard do you want it?
In and out of the mid of Hannigan.
He's given him one fastball to swing out in the at-bat, and that was the first one he saw. Beyond that, he's just playing touch with that outside corner.
Still 0-2 on Craig. Struck him out swinging. Number 8 tonight for Homer Bailey.
Now that's a slider on the Exmo look. You see it pulling down the side of the baseball, and I mean, he's got 4 pitches that are working for him tonight.
Molina first pitch swinging as he likes to do frequently.
I'll tell you, you could make an argument tonight that Homer Bailey has better stuff than he had during his no-hitter. I mean, a blazing fastball. Last couple of innings of that Giants game, the no-hitter back in June, I mean, he was just throwing a fastball 97, 98 up around the zone, and they couldn't catch up to it. But tonight he's got full use of every one of his pitches, and that is a rare, rare thing to see.
One and one to Yadier Molina. Threw a fastball at 96 right by him to get ahead 1-2. Tonight, Bailey's 28th start of the season. It is the 10th time he has had at least 8 strikeouts in a game. He came into this one averaging nearly a strikeout per inning on the season. And now the 1-2 again to Molina. Had him way out in front of a breaking ball, but he's able to make contact and pull it foul. A scoreless game. We are in the top of the 7th inning. 1 out, nobody on, a ball and 2 strikes on Yadier Molina. And now Bailey going to work. Once more off speed, and once more way out in front of it Molina, but able to foul it away. That was a 100th pitch of the night for Homer Bailey. Good battle going on here tonight. Right now, Bailey against Molina. And a bouncing ball. Phillips to his left. Able to throw out Molina, 2 away in the St. Louis 7th inning. And John Jay coming up. Saturday, September the 28th, your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers will donate a Toyota Tundra to the hometown heroes of Matthew 25 Ministries. Members of this humanitarian and disaster relief organization will join Reds COO Phil Castellini before the game. Reds and the Pirates, and will be honored and then awarded the Tundra. All compliments of your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. We thank them very much, and all of the extraordinary work among the best charities in the world, based right here in Cincinnati, Matthew 25 Ministries. Two out for John Jay. His last time up, he sent one to the warning track in left center field. He was hit by a pitch back in the second inning. What a no on John Jay. 96-mile-per-hour fastball, knee high inside corner to even the count. Boy, God, it's been pinpoint control all night long. Hard to believe Bailey doesn't get that pitch. 2-1. He's wondering the same thing. Wow. Caught it off the end of the bat, broke his bat, and Bailey, his 4th straight perfect inning. Offense, offense, offense. Time to do its part. On the game summary, both Waka and Homer Bailey have been spectacular here tonight. Seven innings of 2-hit shutout baseball for Bailey. Struck out 8, walked 1, and hit about it. The night is over for Waka. Seth Maness. Oh, look at that reaction by Bailey. It's almost as though he was just told that if we get to your spot, you're coming out of the game, and he is none too happy about it. Homer Bailey very upset in that Reds dugout, and I think it's safe to say that he was just told he's getting taken out of the game.
Well, they're not down to his spot unless they bat 5 batters in the inning.
Or maybe they just told him that he's out, period. Because he wouldn't be reacting, you wouldn't think like that, Chris, if he was just told, hey, if we get down there. Right?
I wouldn't think so. I'd be more than a little bit surprised, and I think a lot of people here too. But they may get 5 in this inning after all.
Ryan Ludwig, a base hit into center field against that new Cardinal pitcher, Manus. Another one of their youngsters that's pitched so well all year long.
Good job of fighting that one off by Ludwig. Boy, he's really getting his batting eye. Look who we have down there at first base.
Oh my. How about this? The major league debut of the #1 prospect in the Reds organization, is speedster Billy Hamilton, who of course shattered the all-time professional baseball record a season ago in stolen bases. How about the intrigue right here, right now? This is baseball here. Best catcher in the game behind the plate, and the best base stealer in professional baseball, and really that can't even be debated. Hamilton is the best base stealer that there is playing professional baseball right now. Will they turn him loose and challenge Manus and Molina?
Every throw over like that begins to give a little bit of an advantage to Billy Hamilton at first base. The more you see the move, the more comfortable you feel. Unless, of course, Manus is hiding his A move. I think he just saw it.
A back standing up now. This year, 75 stolen bases for Billy Hamilton at AAA Louisville. The International League's highest total since Otis Nixon of Columbus had a league record of 94 in 1983. And there he goes. Pitch taken, and Hamilton beat it for his first major league stolen base. And it comes against Molina and the Cardinals. How about that? Even a grin by Molina. I have a feeling, Chris, we're going to see that matchup for a long time to come.
They got a big lead. Molina had to hurry to throw because he knew that Hamilton can fly. He got a big lead.
And now a bunt, foul on a 1-0 pitch.
Billy Hamilton is one of those base stealers that starts his lead and stays pretty much upright. A lot of guys bend down low. He doesn't do that. He feels more comfortable, he says, and he gets a faster break when he's more upright than down low. First major league stolen base in a 0-0 ball game. Boy, of all the times that Billy Hamilton might be laid in bed thinking, what is it going to be like when I get to the major leagues? I wonder if he had gone through this particular scenario.
We'll see if Frazier can get him to third base. Stabbed at it and missed it, and it's 0-2 to Todd Frazier.
Bad form.
Now do you ask him to bunt on a 2-strike pitch, or trust that at the very minimum he could advance a runner with a ground ball to the right side?
I don't think I like the bunt with 2 strikes. I know Dusty Baker does not like the bunt with 2 strikes with a position player. Put it on him right here to move the runner over. He knows what he's got to do.
And he hooks it into left field. Hamilton will score, and the Reds are on the board. RBI double. Frazier. Hamilton scores his first major league run.
Todd Frazier went from trying to move the runner over to getting a slow changeup down and in. There's no way you hit that ball to right field, but you can hit it down the left field line. And as soon as it lands fair, Billy Hamilton is about as good as home as Frazier will move into second base. And Reds have a chance to play a little add-on right here.
Well, now they're going to ask Kozar perhaps to advance Frazier down to third. Well, you know, we don't do it all that often, not nearly often enough. Great work by our entire crew tonight. I mean, Hamilton comes in the game, and we just showed you every step that he made, first all the way to the plate. And we've been waiting on that for a long time.
Yeah, you get a shot of Homer Bailey in there. You just wonder if maybe Dusty Baker might hedge on his original decision to take Homer Bailey out if he gets down in this spot. If you put a couple of runs on the board right here, would you send him back out there in the eighth?
Well, I'm going to ask you this question because, I mean, it seems like Homer Bailey expended a lot of energy and a lot of emotion after he was told about coming out of the game. You tell me. I mean, you've been in the spot.
I think that once you do that and once you mentally take yourself out of that zone that he's been in all game long, you run into danger.
Wow. He has two batters in a row to put down a bunt. Neither one of them can do it. Came up smelling like a rose, of course, when Frazier on a two-strike pitch had the RBI double, but now Kozar can't advance a runner, and Dusty is not happy about it. You can't blame him. And Bailey is in the on-deck circle.
Well, what an emotional roller coaster just over the last 3 or 4 minutes for Bailey.
Ryan Hannigan to batter. Reds have broken through to take a 1-0 lead. It began with a single by Ryan Ludwig. Dusty Baker puts in Billy Hamilton to run for him. He steals his first major league base. Scores on a double by Todd Frazier. Well, it looked like Frazier had thoughts of trying to take off for third. I'm not so sure he wasn't going there. And then it looked like his spike may have caught in the dirt as he went to make that crossover step. It would be a gamble. There's no doubt about that. But they are paying virtually no attention to him out there at second base. 1-2 to Hannigan. Now the Reds have Manny Parra already in their bullpen. This is an extremely intriguing situation of everything that's gone on in that Reds dugout pertaining to Homer Bailey in this inning and where we're going at the end of the inning. And Chris, I can only rely on you. We can only rely on you because you've been in that spot before. You know, when you're told, if he was told, and we're speculating on that, but based on his reaction, I think it's probably safe to speculate.
Well, the one thing you can tell is that how tight you are wound on the night that you are pitching. And in a 0-0 ball game in a pennant race, and you want to be the man, and you're delivering so far, and you're being told, thanks, but we're going to go somewhere in a different direction from here on, when you think you've got plenty of juice left in the tank.
1-2 to Ryan. And a fastball away.
Comes down to being mentally strong. Bailey's come a long way over the last few years.
Slow roller. And this will be the second out of the inning. Frazier on the third. Decision time. Homer Bailey's night is over, and again takes a helmet off in frustration. He gets a standing ovation from the crowd. Pat on the back from Chu. High fives up and down the dugout. A spectacular performance by a Red starter for a second straight night against the most potent lineup in this league. Cardinals had 4 hits in 9 innings against Matt Latos last night. They had 2 hits in 7 innings against Homer Bailey tonight. Bailey retired the final 14 batters that he faced. And the only 2 hits of the game he allowed. The first batter of the game, Matt Carpenter, single to left center. And Matt Carpenter, a single to left field in the 3rd. That was the last Cardinal base runner of the night. Hit a batter, walked a batter, no runs in 7 innings. Chris Heisey has been nursing once more a tender hamstring. He is up there to bat. And safe to say he'll just stay in the game to play left field. Reds have the option against this right-hander of sending up young Henry Rodriguez, who they've just brought up from the minor leagues, as a left-handed batter off their bench, along with Jack Hanahan and, of course, Xavier Paul. One-two to Heisey. Struck him out. An emotional bottom of the 7th. It began with the news to Bailey that he was taken out. Hamilton arrives in the big leagues in grand style, scoring on the double by Frazier, the only run of the night. Moment brought to you by Miller Lite, and of course it's Billy Hamilton. I mean, right into the game. First time he stepped on a major league diamond. Off and running, challenging the game's best defender. Steals his first big league base and scores his first big league run. Boy, that's exciting stuff right there. Subway box score. Reds have 5 hits. They've just produced a first run on the RBI double by Frazier. No more Homer Bailey. And now the final 6 outs of the night will fall upon the shoulders of the Reds bullpen, and we start there with left-hander Manny Parra.
Parra's in here in the 8th inning. You know, the other part of getting Homer Bailey out of the ball game is the fact that Dusty Baker has to feel like he has to get Aroldis Chapman into a ball game pretty soon. It's been a week. I mean, how long can you go? So he wanted to take a shot, and it was a legitimate shot with a runner in scoring position to send a pinch hitter up there.
Shane Robinson batting for Colton Wong. And it's in the air. It's Chu. 1 out.
Take another look at the stolen base. There's a lot of different things, little tricks that infielders, catchers, everybody can do to try to thwart a stolen base. Look at the foot right here of Colton Wong. He just He's trying to just kind of slide it out there, maybe to keep that sliding leg from getting to the bag in time. Not a dirty play by any means, but a play that you see fairly often. Sometimes infielders will drop a knee down in front of a bag. He's got the ball at that point or waiting for it. And a very little subtle move with his right foot just to try to disrupt Hamilton before he gets into the bag. It didn't help the Cardinals as Hamilton was able to steal the base.
Cardinals announced as a pinch hitter just brought up from their minor league system when the rosters expanded. Brock Peterson, right-handed batter. And Brian Price going to make sure they have the book on young Mr. Peterson, whatever book it is they might have.
Boy, how far has Manny Parr come in 1 year?
Inside of 1 year.
So signed essentially off the scrap heap. I mean, he had a lot of other ball clubs had a chance to look at him, to get to sign him. Signed for a minimal amount of money for a 1 year deal. And it was a long man. And he was only pitching in the beginning of the year in games in which were blowouts. But now he's pitching in one of the most important ball games of the year. 1-0, 8th inning.
Peterson digging in. Swing and a miss. First pitch breaking ball. Peterson has some popping at bat now. He was leading the Pacific Coast League with 25 home runs this year. Finished second during the All-Star Game, minor league All-Star Game, home run derby festivities. 1-1 to Peterson in a 1-0 game. Pirates have just tied the Brewers. That game in the top half of the 4th inning. We'll keep you up to date on that one as we move ahead in this one. Right-hander Sam LeCure continues to throw in the Reds bullpen. Peterson ahead in the count on Parr at 3 balls and a strike. And Tardy on a fastball, and look out the seats. David Freese stands in the on-deck circle, the Cardinals' regular third baseman, of course. Not starting the game tonight. Big pitch right here for Parra, leading 1-0, 3-2. Strike 3 called at 95.
Well, with this particular pitch, it wasn't the speed, it was a spot. And did he ever spot this one perfectly, right on the inside black.
So now the always dangerous David Freese. Ball 1. Been a disappointing year, of course, for Freese thus far. 115 games, 6 home runs, 50 runs batted in. But we know he is always a threat and has delivered some of the biggest hits in Cardinal franchise history in one postseason. 1-1. that's a nice pitch.
I'll tell you, when you follow it up, meaning a mid-90s fastball with this slider. Well, ever since he has simplified his repertoire and got a little confidence, he's been an entirely different pitcher.
Two and two to David Freese. Top of the order, waiting in the on-deck circle, and Matt Carpenter. He was the last Cardinal to reach base in this game. That was a one-out single all the way back in the third inning. Parra trying to leave him standing in the on-deck circle to end this top of the eighth. 2-2, Parra to Freese, and here it comes. Full count. Got away with one perhaps right there. Freese draws the walk. That ends a string of 16 in a row retired by Cincinnati pitching. 16 in a row. And now the Cardinals will bring in a pinch runner. That'll be Pete Cosman. Matt Carpenter. A single to left center leading off the game. A single to left, stole a base, stranded at second and a third. He's the only Cardinal in the game to reach second base. He's the only Cardinal in the game with a hit. Perfect location outside corner. First pitch fastball 0-1 to Carpenter. In the air, left field, and Heisey waiting. Parra scoreless eighth. Bailey able to make this catch and not get hit with that line drive that came off the bat of Yadier Molina leading off the second inning. Well, the video game that puts you in the owner's suite is now available free on iPhone and iPad. Build your stadium, make the decisions to guide your team in the World Series. Download MLB Ballpark Empire free today. Data and usage rates may apply. A couple of changes for St. Louis. Ryan Jackson is a new second baseman. Cosma, after running a moment ago for Freeze, in it short. And a new pitcher is on the mound. Hard throwing left-handed, a good one.
Boy, what a year this young man has had.
Kevin Segrist, strike one to Shin-Soo Choo at 96 on his first pitch. Of course, you always wait to see how it plays out over a given number of years, but it cannot be denied that this stable of young pitchers brought up by the Cardinals this year have been mighty impressive, one after the next. Reds will see another one tomorrow night as a starter in Shelby Miller. Choo, a pair of walks, is lined out to the wall in center. And again, he is doing what he did to the starter tonight, Michael Walker, and that's make him throw strikes. Payoff pitch. And he walks for the third time in the game. Right now, let's send it out to Los Angeles. It's a Fox Sports 1 game break. All righty. We'll keep an eye on that one. Thank you for the update. Reds lead here 1-0, batting in the bottom of the 8th inning. Leadoff man aboard, Choo on a walk, and now Brandon Phillips. Phillips could easily have 2 hits in a game tonight. His first time up on a 2-0 pitch. Hit a bullet one hopper right at the shortstop and wound up being a double play. He has since bounced out to second and hit that line drive down the right field line. Well, look where Beltran's playing, right where he was the last time. Shading near the right field line and caught it.
You know, Kevin Segrist is one of those guys that you have to characterize as a diamond in the rough. When the Cardinals picked him in 2008, they got him out of a junior college, Palm Beach State Junior College, where he was a walk-on in a baseball team. He was a 41st round draft pick, and somewhere between 2008 and now, his velocity probably went from about 90 to 97, and here he is in the major leagues just dominating.
Reds scored the only run in this game off Seth Maness out of the Cardinal bullpen. Foul tipped. They've gotten a piece of the umpire.
And Corey Blazer looked like he got that right on his right arm.
Man, that's gotta hurt. Tell Molina catch a thing, for crying out loud. One and two to Brandon Phillips. Runner at first, nobody out. We are in the bottom of the 8th inning. Aroldis Chapman getting loose in the Reds bullpen. He has not taken the mound in a game since August the 24th against Milwaukee. That was 9 days ago. Homer Bailey absolutely spectacular here tonight. No two ways about it. 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, hit a batter, fanned 8. Retired the last 14 Cardinals he faced after allowing a 1-out single to Matt Carpenter in the 3rd inning. Phillips giving Segrist a battle here. Strike 3 called, and Brandon Phillips has something to say to Blazer.
Well, that looked like a slider, not a fastball, and Brandon kind of scooted out of the way at the last moment, but it may have caught the inside corner of the plate. Pretty good pitch.
Votto 0 for 3 in his career against Segrist and has struck out all 3 times. 1 on, 1 out. We're in the bottom of the 8th. Votto tonight 1 of 3, had a single back in the 1st inning, has since fly to center and bounced out to the second baseman. One and two on Votto.
He's not shying away from throwing Votto his #1 pitches of the fastball. He's seen 3 of them in this at bat. Votto has 3 for strikes, that is. Not a whole lot of shaking off going on between the Cardinals pitchers and Yadier Molina. Now let's take a look at the pitch sequence in this particular at bat. Joey Votto against Kevin Segrist, hard throwing left-hander. There's ball one. That's the only one he throws in this at bat. He throws fastball after fastball against Votto, eventually getting a 97-mile-an-hour fastball on the outside corner. Freezes Votto for strike three. Or Mazda pitch by pitch.
Well, now Jay Bruce. Chu still over at first. He led off the inning with a walk, and this one bounced to the shortstop. He'll have to play to first. And the inning is over. Here we go. Reds 1, Cardinals nothing. Chapman coming on. Of the game, plating the game's only run after failing to advance. Billy Hamilton with a bunt on 2 pitches. Todd Frazier drops one down the left field line, producing the only run of the night. So here we go in the 9th inning. Reds trying to make it back-to-back wins. They have gotten sensational pitching from their starters. Latos a complete game win yesterday. Homer Bailey 7 shutout innings tonight. Manny Parra with a scoreless 8. And now pitching in a game for the first time in nearly 10 days is Reds closer Aroldis Chapman.
Now that's the bad news, that he is maybe out there a little bit rusty. The good news is that when Chapman was out on the mound during his last 3 outings, each one of those were saves and save opportunities. So did not give up a hit during his last outing. And really the only concern, and I'm sure that Dusty Baker has it right now, Brian Price, is will he have the right zip code on that 100-mile-an-hour fastball?
And right through the heart of the order. It will be Carlos Beltran, Matt Holliday, and Alec Craig. Beltran a switch hitter. Holliday and Craig right-handed batters. And they're the 3 best hitters on this Cardinal team. Strike 1.
Wasting no time to get the triple digits. 101.
And then backs that up with a 90-mile-per-hour slider.
Great call by Hannigan.
Came back with a 91-mile-per-hour slider, and that's the first one out of the strike zone. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Beltran. gone swinging Beltran to begin the night.
Now, that was not all power versus power for Aroldis Chapman. And it's about a little bit of moxie right here as he gets right on top of this breaking ball and drops a slider on Carlos Beltran to get the first out of the inning. Well, when you see a pitching motion like that in slow motion, I mean, it's so contorted, so strange. It's almost like, how does your arm ever allow you to do that?
Now Holliday. First pitch, ball one. Holliday in his career 1 of 4 against Aroldis Chapman. Has also drawn a walk. Struck out only once in those 4 at-bats. But he's 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts in the game tonight, all those against Bailey. Well, he hit that ball a long ways foul the other way. Now, you talk about power against power. Right. That Bailey fastball. There aren't a lot of guys in this game that have the muscle of Matt Holliday.
Well, you're right, but you notice where Homer Bailey kept him at bay, which was down and away. I mean, he was just pecking away at that lower outside corner all night.
And they buzz him 103 miles per hour on the gun.
Oh, my. Wow.
And that brings them to their feet here at Great American Ballpark. Two out. You talked about finding the right zip code. The only question on that pitch is, would Ryan Hannigan's mitt stay in the same zip code?
Would it hold up?
One more out to go, and it's a big one in Allen Craig. Reds 1, Cardinals nothing. 2 out, top of the 9th inning. For the last 5 fastballs that Chapman has thrown, reaching 103 miles per hour. And of course, he has the hardest pitch ever recorded in the history of baseball at 105 miles per hour. 1-1 to Allen Craig. We're in the 9th. You see 103 with a fastball, then you sink down to 91 on a slider. And I'd imagine your confidence sinks right along with it.
Well, that's not the first 91-mile-an-hour slider he has seen tonight, believe it or not.
So now Chapman a strike away and an out away from back-to-back wins over the Cardinals.
How do you take it? You've got to start your swing so early to hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. How do you take that pitch?
Two to Craig. Good night, Irene. Chapman fans aside in the 9th inning after not having pitched in nearly 10 days. And the trio of Bailey, Parra, and Chapman combined tonight on a 2-hit shutout. The last Cardinal hit in the game was by Matt Carpenter in the 3rd inning. Tonight marking the arrival of Billy Hamilton. Came into the game in his major league debut, stole a base and scored the only run driven in by Todd Frazier, as the Reds have made it back-to-back wins over the Cardinals in this series. And Chris, don't look now. They've beaten the Cardinals 3 games in a row. What a game. That is a big league ball game right there. And that's a big league closer. 1-0 Reds win.